I'm Ryan Smolar with Placemaking US, and we're so excited to have you here for this really awesome webinar on seniors in place. We've been putting together a lot of conversations lately, and each time we learn so much about the topic. I would love to tell you that today was inspired by many meetings with Andrea Terran from Costa Rica, who's been doing inspiring work in Latin America in multiple cities with seniors and co-design, and meeting with Thiago before and learning about his global initiative, Age-Friendly Cities, and also spending time with a senior placemaker, Gretchen, up in Whidbey Island a few weeks ago. And we have some new friends who we've interviewed who participated and submitted their talks to be part of this webinar as well. So it's going to be a powerhouse session, and we have so many exciting guests here today from local governments and big national and state departments who are trying to make it easier for seniors to participate in the cities that we love. You know, we believe in placemaking that the city that was made for, that has something for everyone was made by everyone. And seniors definitely have a lot to add in their voice to contribute to society. And today is going to be a real inspiring session about that. I'm just going to pull up some brief slides here. So this is our session today, Seniors in Place. And we're dedicating this session to one of our placemaking elders who passed away this week. Kathy Madden was one of the founders of Project for Public Spaces and a voice in the placemaking movement, inspiring many of us and teaching many of us these techniques. She wrote the book, How to Turn a Place Around, and also has been contributing the last several years to the Social Life Project. And they wanted to also tell you that there is a actual article about placemaking for seniors on the Social Life Project as well. So you can check that out right away and get some more content from Kathy. Today's session will be visual recorded by our own Lily Razi. So stick around because at the end we're going to see a sort of mashup of all the notes and exciting words and main concepts of the different talks. And I'm going to pass it off to Wendy Farjapur, if she's here, to tell you a little bit more about how you can get engaged in what we're doing here at Placemaking US. So Wendy, you should be able to unmute and show your video. Yep.
Great. How's everybody doing?
Excited.
Excellent. Yes. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us today. I'm Wendy Farajpur with Placemaking US, and I'm so glad to welcome you to this important conversation on seniors in place. If you're working on a senior placemaking project or program, are a funder, or have a partnership working to include seniors in your work, our network has deep experience supporting efforts just like yours across the US and around the world. We're seeing inspiring examples of how thoughtful design and community activation can help older adults stay healthy, connected, and engaged, and how their wisdom and participation make our communities stronger for everyone. Today is just a taste of that important work. We'd love to hear about the idea you're nurturing, whether it's still an idea or already underway. And please take a moment to share your project with us using the short form.
Using the short form. What does that mean? Using the short form.
Ryan, is that something?
Yes, so there's a
It
form being put in the chat where if you have a project that you're working on in the senior space, you'll be able to share. And that's more for the audience, Gretchen, so you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes. Yes. And also, as you're benefiting from this incredible knowledge being shared today, remember that this event and the connection it fosters are made possible through your support. Placemaking US brings together experts, organizes resources, and shares best practices with practitioners like you. To help continue producing free, high-quality programming, please consider making a donation today to the link provided. Your contributions keep this work going, and we deeply appreciate it. Thank you again for being here and for all you do to make places more inclusive, connected, and age-friendly.
Thanks so much, Wendy. And without further ado, we'll get started here with our good friend Thiago, and I'll be helping him out with his presentation, but there's some exciting links in the chat to some of the work that he's leading up globally.
Thank you so much, Ryan, and thank you, colleagues, for the invitation, for giving me the opportunity to talk a bit more about the work that I do at WHO. Ryan, if you can put the slides up. I start by saying that I coordinate WHO's work on age-friendly environments, and a big part of that actually is the coordination of the WHO Global Network for Age-Friendly Cities and Communities. Now, some of you may be quite familiar with that, some of you may not have heard of it, so it's an opportunity to talk a bit more about that development that WHO has been doing for now over 10 years. Next slide, please, Ryan. Before I jump straight to the global network, what it is, what it does, I think it's important to highlight two things. The first one is that, and it's secret to no one, we are living longer lives. And while oftentimes this is portrayed as an issue, as something negative, it's quite the opposite. It's one of the major, if not the major achievement of humankind. The fact that we've been succeeding to add years to life. Now, there's a new challenge that is coming with that, which is the fact that despite being able to add years to life, we're not being able to add life to years. And living longer doesn't necessarily mean to live healthier lives. And that's precisely what the UN Decade of Healthy Aging is trying to address. Now, is the time now to add life to years? Next slide, please. And as all of you know, a very important way to add life to years is to intervene in the environments we live in, to ensure that communities foster the abilities of older people and foster the abilities as we age. And that is why this is one of the action areas of the UN Decade of Healthy Aging. Next. Now, when we talk about environments, it's not just the built environment, it's everything that surrounds us. It's the social environment, it's people, it's what they believe, it's how they approach age and aging, it's the systems that we have around us, the services that those systems provide. So it's really everything that surrounds us. Next slide, please. And an age-friendly environment is then an environment that enables us to go about our lives doing the things we value. So it's an environment that enables us to meet our basic needs, to contribute to our communities, to build and maintain relationships, to continue to learn, grow, make decisions, to be mobile, and ultimately to enjoy independence and good health, aging well in a place that is right for each of us. Next slide, please. The following one. One more. Perfect. And that's, oops, if you could please go back to the previous slide with the map, exactly, because that's the WHO Global Network for Age-Friendly Cities and Communities. We now have over 1,000 cities, large ones, Manchester, Sao Paulo, Barcelona, Seoul, but also very small rural communities, all committed to become more age-friendly, but to really try and create those environments that I've just mentioned. And these are distributed over more than 60 countries now. They are developing initiatives across all the 8 domains of action according to WHO framework that you see in this beautiful flower on the right-hand side of this slide. And if you pay attention, you will see that central to that flower is the meaningful engagement of all the people, not just as beneficiaries of what the cities and communities are doing, but as agents of transformation. They're not just consulted at the beginning. No, they should be actively involved in co-designing, in co-implementing, and in co-evaluating whatever we put in place to transform the environments we live in. Now, we won't have time for that. If you go to the QR code, and I'm happy to share the slides afterwards, and you click on each of those orange dots that you see in this map, you will be able to not only get to know which cities and communities are part of the global network, but also what they are doing, right? What are how have they their baseline assessment reflected the needs and aspirations of all the people? What their action plans are planning to implement, and in case they have completed their age-friendly cycle, how have they performed? Being part of the global network is not a certification of age friendliness. It's a public commitment to continue to work towards becoming more age friendly, because we know people change, environments change. So it's a continuous effort throughout the ES. Next slide, please. So this global network, as you can imagine, does a lot of interesting stuff. The people are very active. They're really not sitting on their membership, and we try and capture a glimpse of what the cities, communities, and all the networks within those what they are doing in our global database of age-friendly practices, which now has actually close to 1,000 concrete activities at the moment, a lot of them related to placemaking. So again, I will not have the chance to go through each and every one of them, but I would like to share some of the interesting initiatives that cities and communities are putting in place. Next slide, please. So here, just four examples that relates very closely to placemaking. One of them coming from Guadalajara in Mexico. It's a very interesting initiative called the Millennial Tree, where they actually bring different generations together to paint a tree canopy with their hands. So they have all these trees now spread across the city. And because people know and they have been involved and engaged in this process, that tree represents an intergenerational contact initiative intervention that people can relate to. There's also a very interesting initiative in the city of Sandnes in Norway, which is called Generation Games. And in fact, Generation Games is taking place now all across Norway. We have a local network, a national network of age-friendly cities and communities in Norway. And this is one of the projects that is being tremendously popular in the country. And again, it's really very simple, easy to implement, free to use guidance on how to deliver generation games at the center of the city, making best use of all the assets, the community assets that these cities and communities have. Now, I forgot to mention, but if you go to the global database of age-friendly practices, you will be able to read more about each and every one of those practices, and also get in touch with those that have led or are leading those initiatives. There's another one down there, it's in French. It's a community garden where people of all sorts come together, and this is coming from the city of Gerpin in Belgium. So, and they call it Le Jardin d'Augette, which is an interesting space for people to grow food, but also to meet, to exchange, and to learn from one another. And then last but not least, just another example, very interesting, coming from Gore in New Zealand, all the way down south. A number of interesting initiatives to increase social connection, including for those living with disabilities, not physical, mental disabilities, and also those living with dementia. Next slide, please. Of course, a lot of this work is done and led with the support of the local authorities, but I could not end my presentation without highlighting the fundamental role that our national programs and our national networks for age-friendly cities and communities do to support a lot of those initiatives. Now, I have the pleasure to have Declan here with us. You will hear more from them. He's coming from Age Friendly Ireland. I've just mentioned Norway. And here is a very concrete example coming from France, where you have the francophone network of age-friendly cities and communities, actually developing a grant scheme for communities to self-organize, to decide what is relevant for them, and then coming with a second tranche of funds for them to implement the solutions that they themselves identified to improve the environments they live in. Next slide, please. And I'm getting closer to the end of my intervention. I wanted to highlight two opportunities. The first one, of course, is in addition to exploring the databases I've just mentioned, if you would like to know more about age-friendly environments, we do have an online, massive open online course that is already available in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. You can have a certificate of completion as well. You can just use the QR code and use that as an opportunity to know more about age-friendly environments, but also to share with others you work with, you engage with. And then the last slide, if memory serves me well, is just to share with you, next slide please, that next year we will have the third World Congress of Age-Friendly Cities and Communities. Will be a major gathering of the global network between 16th and 18th of June in San Sebastián, Donostia in Spain. So I hope that you have the chance to join us and celebrate the age-friendly movement. And why not to share some of your initiatives in placemaking, in improving the lives of people through transforming their environments according to their will. So that's all from my side. Ryan, over to you, and thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Thiago. And I know we have many age-friendly cities on the call, but if you haven't heard of this framework, it's really worth checking out. When I met Thiago, I learned that my city is in the age-friendly city network and was able to get engaged in the agendas that have been put forth. So we'll be moving on now to someone who's implementing the age-friendly cities framework nationally, and I'm super excited, especially about the co-design work that she does with seniors. Andrea, will you take us away?
Yes, give me a second to share my screen. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea. I'm from Placemaking Costa Rica. I'm very glad to be here and to finally have the senior placemaking agenda with so many people interested in. We have been working in this agenda for approximately 2 years. And of course, you know that seniors are the population of the future. We still see in many places that that this population is invisibilized, and people still don't understand the importance of starting to prioritize working with seniors. But they really are the population of the future, because almost every country in the world is aging. At least Latin America and the Caribbean are aging really fast. So this is a very important topic. So first of all, I want to tell you that I work for a nonprofit. We're a second floor NGO. That means that we have funding. We don't implement projects in the terrain, but what we do is we fund and we establish strategic partnerships and support and accompany through accompaniment several different stakeholders. Mainly, we work this topic with local governments. So I'm going to give you a little bit of context. I'm from Latin America, Central America, so maybe what I'm going to tell you about, to talk about Costa Rica, you can relate with, maybe not, but we have a lot of challenges. And Costa Rica is among the countries of Latin America and the Caribbean that's aging the fastest. And we also have a blue zone. We have a lot of people over 100 years old. We have a very high life expectancy. So this is, of course, something that we celebrate and we're very proud about, but it also makes us face different challenges. So when you think about Costa Rica, you probably think about this, about our nature, about our beauty, about democracy, about we don't have any army. But this is in the rural areas. What happens in the urban areas? I'm going to show you some real pictures of our cities, which of course, if you are placemakers and passionate about cities and public space, it breaks our hearts. But there's so many things we have to do. And this, of course, when we think about the senior population, is terrible because this is directly related with unwanted loneliness. Because when you have these serious debts regarding infrastructure, this results in lonely seniors locked up in their houses. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little while. So many of the things that we have been doing through the Age-Friendly Citizen Communities Network in Costa Rica. In 2019, we partnered with PAHO, which is World Health Organization's Latin American office, and with the Ministry of Health in Costa Rica. And we started with 9 local governments that were implementing the initiative, and today we have 50 local governments out of 84. We're very proud of this big effort that we have been doing, and this means we have more than half of the municipalities of the country that are committed to actively work to strengthen the services and improve the environment so that the senior population can live not only longer but better. We work through the local governments. We have established very close partnerships with at least 10 of these 50 local governments, and we have been helping them implement the entire methodology. That means doing participatory assessment, action plans, funding pilot projects. So we work through the local governments, and through them it is that we work with the communities and the seniors. We don't fund any project or any program that doesn't have a very strong participatory component. So we have been working with the local governments, with the communities, with NGOs, and with different privately organized senior groups. We have been listening to thousands of people for the last 6 years. We have a vast understanding of the situation in different parts of the country. And what's interesting is that even though we worked in different local governments, in different districts, different locations, when we had the conversations with the people, we heard the same things over and over and over again. We really have made an effort to understand the public realm from their point of view. We have made focal groups, walks, festivals, many activities so that we can extract and pick on the seniors' brains and understand all the limitations and all the opportunities and all the dreams that they have for their own life and for their communities and for their cantons and municipalities. So the Age-Friendly Citizen Communities Initiative analyzes these 8 areas, right, which are identified as key for a healthy aging and a good quality of life for seniors. In 100% of the focal groups that we have made, I participated in all of them. There is one area that has been identified by the seniors as the most critical area that affects their life the most. Which one is it? Transportation and mobility. Because Costa Rica has a very, I'm sorry for the word, but a very stupid law that says that sidewalks are the responsibility of the property owner, of the neighbor, not of the municipality. So that results in a terrible network, interrupted network of immobility. And as I told you before, this has a very big impact in the people, in the seniors. So these are pictures I have taken in my daily walks where the seniors have to cross the streets. There are no pedestrian crosses. The sidewalks are terrible. And the public transportation is not electric. The sidewalks are terrible. There are no ramps. So this is how seniors are supposed to continue participating in society and have a normal life with all of these obstacles. Also, the seniors talked about a lot about public space that is not designed for them, that is designed for youth, that they have no reason to go to the park because the park has nothing to offer, has no furniture, has no shade. I'm going to go super fast. They also talked about public toilets, inexistent in Costa Rica, and very important for the seniors when they are planning their days in the city. Housing, very challenging as well. And participation. Out of the 8 areas, these were the ones that they said, those are the worst for us. And everybody said the same over and over and over again. So what we did was also started analyzing who leads community groups in different places. And we always found 65 plus women that were the leaders. They were leading the community groups, they were leading the associations of neighbors and everything. So we have been working with them and understanding that there is great potential when we combine this natural leadership that they exhibit with purpose and place. So we have been doing many different kinds of projects and pilots and generating knowledge, but I'm going to share with you one very successful project that we had like 2 years ago. We implemented it. Everything we have used the place game, the placemaking, the methodology, that what makes a great place that you probably already know. So we did with a community. If you don't know it, I'm sure Ryan can provide all the resources, which are super easy to use with communities, and you don't have to be an expert, and they're very, very easy to implement. So we did this project in a municipality in a social housing project that had a park in the center and a very, very isolated community. Everybody was locked up in their houses. This is the first time that we came to do the participatory assessment. This first picture is of the park. It was in the center of the community. All the houses were around it. And then we did like a co-creation. What do you want? What do you dream? How do you see your park? The municipality participated in this session. The architect of the municipality heard directly the seniors with their frustrations and everything, and then he designed this render of how this garden would eventually look. So with the seniors, they were fiscalizing and participating. If we had allowed them, they would have built it. But we had to have some technical expertise. But they were all over in the process. They were there, present. Then we funded a 3-month permaculture process so that they would learn how to plant in elevated planting beds. So we have a beautiful garden that also has vegetables and herbs and flowers. And then we did with them also a participatory public art process where they painted themselves with a local artist, but they painted everything. So the garden started becoming not just infrastructure, but the soul started showing, and it's all because of them. Then we had a lot of meetings, of parties, and of things, everything they organized on their own. We just donated the infrastructure, and they have been self-managing everything. This is a video which I don't have time to put, but this is the day we inaugurated the garden. This sir in the wheelchair, he died this year, but he was the eldest person in the community. And in this video, you see all of them kissing him and hugging him and dancing with him. And that's protection, and that's participation, and that's what we believe in. Sorry, I wasn't going to put it, but bueno, he's happy. He loved it. And then all of this project, we ended our intervention 2 years ago when the infrastructure was done, when the art was done. And right now it's 100% self-managed and sustainable. They meet every Monday from 10 to 12. They hold their meetings, their birthday parties. They're there for each other. And what we have seen in the testimonials is that they say their life has changed. They have friends. This gives them purpose. And right now the municipality is just like in contact with them, and we are there aware of what's going on, but they are flying on their own. And so this was so successful that this year what we did is we started making smaller prototypes of the garden. This required like a $40,000 investment from our part. Right now we're doing 5 small gardens that require a $15,000 investment, and we're doing some manuals so that we can share these experiences with all of the municipalities of Costa Rica and the world, and with plans and with detailed information so that anybody that wants to try to do a wellness garden can do it easily. We have also been doing urban gardens with people that plant vegetables and doing the elevated beds. And we have already seen that it is the seniors that are guiding these groups, and also doing a lot of mobility interventions, a lot of programming, theater, dancing, music. All of these things are managed by them. We just give them like a little push and support them and fund a little bit. But for example, investment is like $1,500 for the theater group, and then they do everything. We do this with the community and with the municipality. A lot of public dancing, and mainly a lot of public joy, because we see these acts of happiness in public space and seniors enjoy
enjoying in public space as an act of reivindication, because in Costa Rica, many of the seniors, we see them sitting lonely in their corridors of their houses. So when we are able to see this kind of connection and friendship and participation in our city and in our public space, we think that we are putting the right topics in the table, on top of the table. And we have seen how this topic has advanced in the last 6 years in Costa Rica. Sorry for being so fast. I'm sure there are questions, but we can connect. I'll write my email in the chat, and then we can continue the conversation.
Thank you, Andrea. We're going to have people meet with you later and love the co-creation and the point that you made that when it's built together, it can continue. The project doesn't die and it maintains and they keep on going. We're going to cross the pond over to Declan in Ireland, where he's also implementing the age-friendly protocols nationally.
Thanks, Ryan. Can you see my screen, Ryan?
Yes, it's coming up.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock here in Ireland. I'm actually sitting in a hotel tonight. We are celebrating our annual Age Friendly Awards. It's an event that we hold every year through the Age Friendly Ireland programme to celebrate a lot of the good projects that have been carried out through our programmes. Thiago alluded to Ireland earlier. Hi, Thiago, and greetings from Ireland. But we work closely with the WHO, and Ireland have the distinction of being the first recognised age-friendly country in the world. Andrea has touched on this, but we focus heavily on the 8 domains of the global network, some of which I'm going to show you this evening, some of the projects. I'm an engineer by background, and we have a strong program, a well-established program within Ireland. We have 31 municipalities or local authority areas, as we call them here, and we have a strong structure. So we have an Age Friendly Alliance, which is a group that is chaired by our chief executives, senior manager within local government. But within that, we have health professionals, transport professionals, various groups from our communities that steer that group. We have an Age Friendly program manager. And it's been referenced earlier by Thiago, or older people's councils, which is the voice of older people, and they really sit at the heart of our local programme structure. We have an interdepartmental group within our local governments that crosses the strands of our local governments or municipalities. We have a local strategy that's developed in collaboration with our older people's councils, and that looks again at the 8 domains and brings forward a set of actions or improvements that we want to make to each of our local authority areas, and that really drives what we're trying to achieve. We have age-friendly tech advisors, or technical advisors, which I work with in terms of the technical elements, which are very key to the age-friendly environments. Looking at housing, transport, and the outdoor spaces that are really instrumental in terms of creating, social connectiveness, social participation. So this is our local program. We have a recently new program launch, which is called our Healthy Age Friendly Homes program. And we have a team of coordinators who visit older people in their own homes in Ireland and look at their needs. They essentially do a needs assessment for that individual and come up with an action plan to address that person's needs. So one of them could be in terms of their existing home. They may need an adaptation to that particular home to enable them to age in place. So those coordinators, again, are a key component of our national programme. We've carried out a lot of work, and we have a well-established program within Ireland, but these are just some of the high-level outputs that we've created, and these straddle the 8 domains that have been previously mentioned. We carry out age-friendly business recognition training with businesses throughout Ireland. We're doing a body of work with our national train stations provider, where we carry out walkability audits on the stations, and the provider has carried out a number of improvements to make the station more accessible for older people. We've done a lot of walkability audits in towns and villages across Ireland, again, looking at footpaths or walkways, pavements, making improvements to that. We're a bit different to Andrea in Costa Rica. We do control from a local authority perspective all our public streets and footpaths. So we have the control to make improvements. We're doing work with some of our hospitals, again, bringing older people in to experience if they may need to attend hospital for an appointment, what is their experience getting to the hospital, getting to their appointments, getting to the various elements of the hospital. We've carried out work with our airports, 2 airports here in Ireland. Again, we've brought older people on board. We've carried out walkability audits in those airports. Someone coming to the airport to get a flight, how easy is it for them to access the airport, access the toilets, access the facilities, the restaurants. Just skipping on, we in local government here in Ireland control all our libraries, so we've carried out a body of work with our libraries, with our staff, again making them more accessible to older people and people with disabilities. And that's all about not just the physical space, but also training library staff in terms of dealing with older people, appreciating older people, even communicating. So again, that's something we've done. I'll touch on now, we do work across Ireland in age-friendly housing. We provide new housing for older people across Ireland. Our local authorities are doing fantastic work in this field. Small elements of the built environment matter a lot, and we have a great initiative where we install age-friendly car parking spaces for older people to use, and that's across our network of facilities, from public buildings to shopping malls, you name it. There's age-friendly space, and again, to encourage older people to get out and about. We have a national stadium in Dublin. It's called Croke Park. It would host a lot of sporting events, but we've done a body of work with the GA, the Gaelic Athletic Association in Ireland, with that stadium. Again, looking at how older people can participate in events, but also encouraging older people to volunteer at events. They have a huge amount to add to society, and older people volunteer on events, match days, stewarding, and get involved. Age-friendly primary healthcare services, again, we've brought older people out. We've done audits, assessments on those facilities to see how people interact and what barriers or challenges they may have. And we have a number of publications. I'm going to share these slides with you afterwards, but we have 2 brilliant websites with all of our resources on them. So I'm going to cover 1 or 2 of them very quickly because I'm conscious of time. Age-friendly housing that I've mentioned. I'm heavily involved with our local authorities in developing new age-friendly developments. Everything from small bungalows in rural parts of Ireland to large apartment complexes in some of our larger cities like Dublin. We provide opportunities for people to right-size or maybe downsize where they're in a larger home, they're isolated, they can no longer heat or maintain the home. So local authorities provide smaller homes, they're universally designed, accessible homes for older people to move into. And that brings a new lease of life. Thiago mentioned earlier, adding life to those years, and it's a very important part, improving the well-being of people by providing more suitable, healthier homes for them to live. We carry out walkability audits. Again, these publications are on our websites, but we bring older people into our towns and villages, carry out walkability audits, people with disabilities, and again, look at the barriers and challenges that face people to interact with these environments and communities. And then we would create an action plan, and through our local authorities, our various stakeholders, make improvements to these spaces, these communities, again, to make them more user-friendly for older people. The 2 documents on my right of my screen are 2 age-friendly town plans that have been created. Ennis and Kilkenny are just 2 examples, again, highlighting the barriers, challenges, and bringing forward action plans for improvements. This is a quick slide on our age-friendly train stations that I've mentioned. Here in Road Éireann, or Irish Rail is the name of the organisation, and they are front runners. They have appointed an age-friendly programme manager to manage out on this. We coordinate that. We bring older people in to audit and assess and survey these spaces, everything from how they can access and get there, to purchasing their tickets, to using the toileting or restaurant facilities, and then boarding the trains. You know, everything looking at timetables, how the train providers' information is shared with older people. So we're doing that body of work. We've done 2 stations. I'm working on a further 15 at the minute. So, you know, we have a lot of work done, but we're making continuous improvements year on year. Age-friendly public realm guidelines. Again, there's a publication that we've launched. Again, surveying older people, bringing improvements forward, and we look at seating, toileting, car parking, recreation zones, pedestrian crossings, parks, even simple things like bins. If you're sitting on a park bench or a seating, you know, having a bin beside you, particularly in warm weather where you may have insects or vermin, you know, can be off-putting. So simple things like that can make a huge difference to people enjoying those environments. Wayfinding and signage, you know, very important with people visually impaired or with people with cognitive ailments. And then bus stops again, you know, providing those key infrastructure. Age-friendly car parking. These are just some examples of some of the spaces. We have a publication that speaks to this, and the photographs on the right are just some examples of those spaces in place. And again, they're you know, encouraging older people to get out. You know, they're as much important as every element of society. So we have to create these spaces that are age-friendly. And finally, age-friendly hospitals. Again, we've brought older people into these environments, carried out assessments throughout the sort of usability of these spaces, and have carried out a number of improvements through working with our Department of Health service on these initiatives. And this is just a few more, last slide, but a few more publications. All of these publications are on our website. So if you want to explore the process, the steps we've taken, feel free. But we document, we carry out a pilot, but we learn from that, and we replicate it and scale it up. So that's our model that we have here in Ireland, that we very much continuous learning in terms of what we're doing and continuous improvements. Thank you very much, everyone. That is me. Those are my contact details. Happy to share further information. But as I said, we have two websites, and we have a LinkedIn page which we share lots of information on. Thanks, Ryan.
Wow, Declan, it's so amazing to see all of the different departments that are being impacted by your work, and as a resource for age-friendly cities across all those different vertical columns. And now we're going to hone in on a specific column with the State of Maine Arts Commission with our friend Christina, who is building competency and inclusion for our seniors in the arts.
Hello. Thank you, Ryan. It's so good to be here with all of you. I'm going to share my screen, show you a beautiful picture of creative aging in action here. All right. Not on the right one yet. Bear with me. Okay. Are you seeing my share screen? Are you still seeing my?
See it? Yes. It looks
Oh, you
good.
do see it. Okay. Great. Wonderful. All right. So I'm Christina Perez with the Maine Arts Commission. I'm a program director, and we are a state art agency funded through the National Endowment for the Arts and our Maine state legislature. The Maine Arts Commission works to spark creativity and connect people through the arts, celebrating Maine's cultural heritage and supporting artistic expression in every corner of the state. Through partnerships, initiatives, advocacy, and grants, we support artists, organizations, schools, and communities in making Maine a more creative and connected place to live. I'm here today to share with you the opportunity for placemaking through creative aging programs that you may already be happening in your state or country. For those who don't know, creative aging is a national effort in the United States that encourages the practice of using artistic and creative engagement to enhance well-being, boost physical and cognitive abilities, and enrich our overall quality of life. Creative aging programs can take many forms in a variety of locations, including art classes, theater workshops, storytelling sessions, music making, and intergenerational art projects. These programs support healthy aging and help to break down stereotypes by showing that growth and creativity are possible at any age.
Yes.
Yes. The Maine Arts Commission believes and knows that creativity is a bridge that builds connections to place and to each other, helping to nurture healthy, vibrant communities. Research tells us that arts and culture are a prescription for the epidemic of loneliness and isolation. Creative Aging Maine serves a very large rural state with a relatively small population of 1.4 million people. That is 29% of the state is over 60 years old, and 18% of those older adults are veterans of the military. Maine is a state bursting with potential to benefit from the gains in human longevity and the opportunity it presents. In Maine, the older population is growing more diverse and more educated than previous generations. To provide access to the arts to rural communities, we are developing a website, a database to asset map our community and to provide resources so that people can locate creative aging workshops in their county or community, or to identify a local teaching artist to lead a creative aging program. And that teaching artist could be a dance teacher or a watercolor teacher, many different varieties of teaching artists. We are working to develop this kind of asset mapping with a potential to grow into a future social prescribing program, which we currently don't have in the state of Maine, or other place-specific arts and health-based initiatives. The possibilities really are endless and integrate public health into what is often missing in our lives, which is fun and connection through creativity. Here you're seeing a artistic rendition of the Change Agent Summit that happened through our Maine Council on Aging in 2024. And the Maine Council of Aging is a nonprofit advocacy organization in Maine who excels in training leaders in age positivity and anti-ageism through its leadership exchange on ageism. It's a first in the U.S. Program, and I'm an alumnus of the program and encourage anyone to explore what an age-positive world might look like. Recently, the Maine Arts Commission was awarded grant funding for creative aging projects through the state, and we funded free training to teaching artists through Lifetime Arts, the nation's leading creative aging training organization in the U.S. These trainings increase the number of teaching artists and host locations in Maine, building a cross-sector workforce within arts and culture. You can explore Lifetime Arts and creative aging in the MCOA, Maine Council on Aging research through the link that we'll share in the chat. So in collaboration with E.A. Mickelson Foundation, the National Assembly of State Art Agencies, also referred to NASA in the U.S., is making available over $2 million in grant funding for state art agencies to strengthen meaningful arts learning experiences for older adults in the United States. You can contact your state art agency to learn more about how they may be accessing these funds for creative aging in your state. Maine will begin its third round of creative aging training in 2026 with a goal to have trained teaching artists in all 16 counties of our state. In addition to lifetime art certifications, the Maine Council on Aging is developing a new anti-ageism and age-positive training for teaching artists and host sites, which is very exciting, so that anybody could have that training. And that includes YMCA, senior centers, activity directors, hospitals, wellness centers, Parks and Rec staff, so staff of any facility that might host a creative aging project. Which will help to make a more age positive community and state. So that's the end of my presentation, but I'm so delighted to have had this opportunity to share to you about the resources that we have here in Maine. And I hope that the information about creative aging will expand your idea of what placemaking can look like in your state. And I'm always happy to connect and collaborate. So please reach out with any questions after the session or come into my session and we'll have more conversations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina. We're so excited to see this connection between the arts and our senior community and the ways that you're reinforcing it. We're going to jump just a few states over to Pennsylvania, where there's an exciting project going on with seniors, housing, and students. Jessica and Victoria, will you take us away?
Yes, hello everyone. I too am going to share my screen, so please bear with me as I work on that. Is everyone able to see what I'm sharing? Wonderful.
Looks good.
Great. My name is Jessica Green. I'm the Operations Director for Arts and Civic Innovation at Drexel University, and this is my colleague, Victoria Huggins-Purifoy.
Hi, everybody. I am the Community Engagement Liaison for the Second Story Collective. Our program shows how public spaces can welcome older adults as active citizens and cultural carriers rather than treating aging as an afterthought.
Wow.
We are going to tell you more about Second Story Collective. As an arts-centered model for intergenerational co-living, Second Story is an alternative strategy for addressing two of our community's most pressing needs: affordable housing and aging in place options. First, I want to orient you to our location and our local context. As Ryan said, we are in Pennsylvania in the city of Philadelphia. Both Victoria and I are part of Writers' Room at Drexel University. Writers' Room is a literary arts program that brings together students and neighbors who are mostly seniors from our community together in creative workshops and programs that are free and open to all. Drexel is one of two large universities in West Philly, and just a few blocks north of our campus is the Mantua neighborhood, which is historically Black and part of the West Philadelphia Promise Zone. Mantua is also a neighborhood with deep roots in history, and it has many long-term residents who are struggling to age in place in their community. In the current moment, the area is rapidly gentrifying as rental rates and housing prices rise. This is pushing out long-term residents as university students look for more affordable housing off campus. We felt this in our Writers' Room community when one of our founding members was illegally displaced from her apartment building after her landlord sold it to a developer who then flipped it to student housing. In that moment, we realized that we are implicated in this story and we have to act as a community in response.
And as a result, that's how Second Story began. So let me tell you about the program. During the pandemic, many of our elders were isolated from the outside world, and there was loneliness that set in, which was a problem. So Second Story Collective decided one way that we could combat this isolation and loneliness is to create this program, which offers senior citizens who are 55 and older and live in the West Philadelphia Promise Zone, who may have a room in their home that could be used by a Drexel student, an ability to stay in place in their home by offering them $25,000 for home repairs or renovations that would be designed to make their homes comfortable for them and comfortable for a Drexel student. Now, the homeowner is then matched with the Drexel student who is looking for affordable housing. In addition, the student pays a monthly contribution to the homeowner, a lower than fair rental contribution, which the student will help with chores around the house. Now, we have a relationship with a contractor, Rebuilding Together Philadelphia, known as RTP, who does the repairs. We don't put the $25,000 in anybody's hands. The contractor has those funds and the work gets done. These two pictures are representative of folks that are in our program now, homeowner and a student from Drexel University. And the other piece to this program is that the homeowner and the home sharer, as you see in this picture, they become a part of our arts programming and help to bridge to build bridges in the community.
Creating pathways to home ownership became a part of Second Story's work when our founding director, Rachel Wenrick, who I saw in the chat earlier, met Charles Lomax at a Mantua Civic meeting. Mr. Lomax was presenting his company's plan for an inclusive mixed development in Mantua called Village Square on Haverford. This development will bring to the community, among other amenities, its first full-service grocery store in 20 years, as well as an ambulatory medical center, affordable rental units alongside market rate rental units, and 18 for-sale townhomes. It is around these 18 townhomes that Charles and Rachel found a common vision to create pathways to home ownership and generational wealth for Black families in Mantua. We're partnering together, and through Second Story, we will help long-term residents in Mantua purchase these homes and transition from rental housing to home ownership. Part of this pathway is through the Second Story model of home sharing, where a student contributes to household responsibilities and helps subsidize the costs of home ownership by paying an affordable rent. Imagine what it could mean to a young family to have a university student there when the kids get home from school who can help with homework or get dinner started. And imagine what it could mean for a senior wanting to stay in the neighborhood but transition out of unstable rental housing to have a home sharer who is not only a companion, but there to help with things that need to be done around the house.
There's power in the arts. Yes, there is. The literary arts offers an initiative method to bridge differences and build social cohesion and important social detriments of health. Writers' Room, which is an arts-based community organization within Drexel University, involves our art programming, and the homeowner and home sharers participate in these programs on a regular basis. This could involve them attending a once-a-month Writers' Room workshop or attending a photography group called Tripod, or Seeding Joy, which is held at the Philadelphia Museum of Arts. It also introduces the homeowner and the home sharer to various teaching artists, and it brings the seniors, Drexel students, high school students, and families together to share and program. Everything that we do in community is free.
Wow.
This issue isn't unique to Drexel, and this model shouldn't be either. Our university community team is working to create a sustainable and transferable model for more equitable development. With funding from federal sources such as the National Science Foundation and AmeriCorps, we are examining the impact of the arts on civic engagement and how the arts can innovate infrastructures, creating new collaborations across civic sectors. We are also working to develop and operationalize Second Story Collective as an anti-displacement and aging in place model that can map into new settings using assets already within the community to transform points of tension into points of connection. If the last year has shown us anything, it is that we cannot look in one direction for support. So we have attracted city, state, federal, foundation, and corporate funding, and we look to build on these investments. We believe this model will thrive as a multi-institutional and cross-sector coalition of funders and partners.
Our property developer, Charles Lomax, says that this is an opportunity to change the narrative of university-adjacent developments from one of displacement of longtime residents to encourage engagement and community building. We have the team around the table to do it, which includes arts organizations, community development corporations, and service organizations.
It is the people we have around the table committed to this model that has and will make all of the difference. And I realize that we didn't get to share all of our slides because the share stopped. So I do want to make sure that you get a chance to see our wonderful home sharing duos with our first two houses. But Miss Victoria, why don't you take us home?
Well, we've said it all. This is us. We start with story.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. So amazing to see what you're doing to house students with seniors and create that intergenerational partnership, especially where universities across the country might be inadvertently impacting senior housing. This solution is something that we hope scales very soon. And I'm going to bring up our good friend who has been generous to sort of live tweet some responses to the presentations that we've seen as well. And I'm actually going to be interviewing her. So, Gretchen, you're actually a senior placemaker yourself, an individual senior placemaker. You haven't heard of these age-friendly World Health Organization types of support, but you're in your community, a senior yourself, and an independent placemaker.
Yeah, thank you, all of you. I'm just like astounded, taking notes. Love to talk more with you all. Yeah, and I'm just a small person in a small community with a passion for, community, co-creation, intergenerational play. So, and Ryan's going to help me because he was going to ask all the important questions.
Yeah, so I'm going to show a couple of pictures and then we'll talk about it really briefly. But one of the exciting things about your work is that you were inspired by two indigenous cultures. You're yourself from New Zealand, where the Maori culture is, and you've spent a lot of time in Latin America, where they even call you the Abuela Cosmica. And I understand that a big part of your inspiration comes from these ideas that elders, not seniors, as you call them,
Yes.
elders, are very important contributors to society and are not just there to be the end product of service, but are a gift in yourself to society for the knowledge you keep and some of the supports that you've told me about in those cultures to keep seniors and elders engaged.
Yes. I with Ryan, I immediately said, stop calling us seniors. It's just not a great word. Elders. In Mexico, you're an abuela or an abuelo, and there's a sense of being a respected elder. In New Zealand, the komatoas and the kuias, they're respected elders in the community, and they're recognized and valued for all the wisdom and the experience. And they have this position for guiding, more about guiding and being a significant part of the life of the community. Something we all have to talk fast, forgive me, because there's so much. But just this idea of, I feel like as an elder to realize that our presence is a gift. We're not always as capable. You all are so incredibly capable. I'm 76 and I used to be super capable, and now I have to be more discerning. But this idea that being and showing up and being present is actually a gift to anything that happens. And in intergenerational, multi-generational things, just feeling like if I show up, I'm a gift, I'm a blessing that is offered. And I know that happens a bit. I would say that in the US, I'm living on an island. I'm opposite Maine. I'm in Whidbey Island on the West Coast, north of Seattle. And the US, I'm so glad to hear these wonderful things about the US because it's a little scary right now, with so many programs being just taken apart. And here, this ongoing terror of all these COVID flus and getting COVID shots and everything that is isolating the elders because they're afraid to go out. I didn't find that so much in Mexico. I figured that in Mexico, that the treatment was to hug everybody as often as you could. And that way you shared the bugs on a daily basis and you used public transport and you were just sharing the bugs and you got la gripa and it wasn't that big of a thing. But here, there's a lot of fear and anxiety about even joining in community.
And I want to show some photos that you actually come from a long line of placemakers. And this is your father who, until I believe a very advanced age, continued to play music in the community. He was
Yes.
the founder of the Soup Box Derby, which unfortunately was canceled this year, but it's something that you continue to bring forth and the community expects from you this annual event.
Yeah. Yeah, these events that kind of tie in with the seasons, really, and I was intrigued by how many of you used an 8-point uh, visual of what you were doing because that's like the 8 seasons, the equinoxes and solstices and the cross quarters, and how it's so nice to have a festival every 6 weeks. You can ride through a lot when you got something to look forward to. So things that happen here, we have welcomed the whales. The whales come from the south to the north, and a lot of them stop by Whidbey Island. And so we have this festival where we dressed up in all the things that Wales would be accompanied with, the food of Wales, the company of Wales, and Wales. And we sing and dance all the way down to the water. And then the local indigenous people do the ancient calls and the drumming, and poetry is read. My father used to be one of the poets. And then a group of swimmers would swim out with boughs of the boughs of the fresh plum blossoms out and offer them to the whales in the water and do little dances out there. So silly things, silly, wonderful things that people can contribute some small thing.
And now you've recently been moved into a senior housing community. And you've kind of
Yeah.
described this as a blessing and a curse because it's very much feels like a place where you've been put to in God's waiting room. And you've been walking around the
Yes.
neighborhood and trying to make some trouble. And when I visited you, you were very excited to uncover that this little stream was formerly a salmon run. So salmon would come in from the ocean and come up this stream and spawn, but it's become dysfunctional and more decorative. And you and I walked around and we saw little sort of vignette moments where we could potentially do placemaking projects to start to facilitate this vision. So this is the secondhand store on Main Street, and they had lots of plates in their store. We talked about, for example, breaking some of the plates and recreating a mosaic. And you're just
that is Ryan's big vision of this, I got to admit. He's wonderful for big visions. Yes.
But can you speak a little bit to what being moved into the senior facility, how that feels, and how you're trying to place make it?
Well, it does feel like, yeah, people move into this place to die. And I don't know why. Well, I think there was subtle forces at bay because people said, oh my God, Gretchen, you've moved in there. You're going to cause trouble and things are going to happen there, aren't they? But it feels kind of lonely and a little bit overwhelming. So finding a something. So finding a something, something that I could focus on. I'm still looking for more company because a lot of the people here are old and sad and in this culture that just doesn't value you. And so looking for a project, the stream, this brook, it's called Brookhaven, and this brook that goes through and is a little bit neglected above us, that's been a bit decorative, but I've been following it, walking it, finding out more about it. 2 days ago, I told Ryan, oh my God, Ryan, I discovered that Jane Goodall came to the island, was a friend of someone's, and went to this stream and gave blessing to this stream. Oh my God, I'm trying to find out more. And then I remember about 10 years ago walking down in the town, terribly early in the morning, right next to the stream. I ran into Joanna Macy and had a short conversation with her, not about the stream, but that's where she went. It was so, I feel like, yes, the stream looks like, stream carries spirit. I can share one last thing, if I might. I come from a family of very psychic, intuitive, empathic people. And when I moved into this place, the ghosts and the spirits, people who died, they started flooding my place. It just became overwhelming, the amount of emotion and a tremendous amount of sadness that just dragged me down. And I'm having to redirect that. So one project, little tiny project I've got for the string, because I have to start really little, is I'm building and getting a little help building a spirit house or two to put next to the stream and say, could you go and meet there instead of at my house? And I'm going to show you what there's a spirit house that I'm a paper mache fanatic. And I made this with my 13-year-old best friend who has moved away to Glastonbury, but we get together by phone and we do projects and things. So the intergenerational, I'm what I think of as being I'm a very old young one, and I connect with people who are, who are very young elders. And that's what I love, this connection of discovering these really young elders, like, these ones that I come upon that I get to play with, because there's this connection that happens. But I need help, and I'm loving to hear about what your ideas. I need company. I need support. I need to hear of all the things that you're doing. So great blessings on you.
Great. And segueing with that, something that was very inspiring when we hung out is the work that you're doing to support the community schools. So this is you at the farm school buying some of their produce from their pay what you will store or public trust store. There was nobody minding the store. We just went in and bought some beautiful produce. And then you were kind of fretting a bit when I was with you because the community school was starting and you wanted sunflowers for the students to walk a spiral labyrinth on their first day of school, and you didn't want to have to buy these sunflowers. You wanted to use your elder superpowers to make sure that some business or farm or garden cared enough to provide these sunflowers to the students. Can you speak a little bit about that sort of role that you have and passion to connect in this way?
Yeah, I love teenagers, and this school, Woodhaven, it's struggling right now because of governmental regulation. We dropped from 24 students to 5 to the beginning of the school year, and it's struggling a little bit. But that idea of yeah, so I had ideas that right now don't seem to be possible of, mentoring programs. But that just with the sunflowers thing, we're putting out a call, and I needed 16 sunflowers, and overnight 15 sunflowers appeared. And then just as we began the ceremony, because I am lucky to be the elder of this school. So they invite me to do the fun things, which is like creating the spirals and leading them through. At the last minute, one of the ex-teachers who I had called earlier in the day and just said, come, he didn't know anything about sunflowers. He arrived carrying the 16th sunflower. It was a glorious moment.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks so much, Gretchen. And what we're going to do now is we're going to have the opportunity to go into a room and maybe ask a few questions or speak directly to the speakers. And I'm going to kick it off to Lily first, who's been busily visually recording everything you guys have been talking about, and she's going to show you guys the big reveal of the graphic.
Oh, great.
Hey,
Beautiful.
so let's talk about it. Like Thiago talked about like age-friendly environment, how they are implementing their design in 60 countries, Belgium, New Zealand, and they also announced their like oncoming event 16 to 18 of June in Spain. Then Declan talked about age-friendly Ireland, the systematic overview they have on everything, like from transportation, from public spaces, from to housing, to roads, and to hospitals, like many layers. Which these two are connected to WHO, World Health Organization. Then Andrea also touched on the mobility and access of elderlies and seniors. Let me correct myself. I learned I shouldn't say yeah. So we just say seniors. And then the wellness gardens, they are modeling it in different parts of Costa Rica, and they do leadership and trying to connect seniors to do this kind of like community garden wellness programming. Christina talked about using art and creating age positivity and making it happen with through art and making like age positivity for the artists and just connecting with elder seniors to do some connections and wellness programming. Then we asked Jessica and Victoria about their work. They talk about second story program that it launched from writers room, and the whole idea is like aging in place and affordable housing by connecting students with elders. That is like a two-way beneficial relationship. And then lastly, Gretchen talk about that US is not very age friendly and how she didn't feel that in Mexico, and that all the seniors need is connection and care.
Elders.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lily. The graphic looks beautiful. And I'll just give our speakers an opportunity. They heard from themselves, each other, and now some folks in the rooms, if they'd like to just leave us with a final thought. Jessica, Victoria, I see you first on the screen. So did you have a sort of final thought you want to leave us with?
I mean, I love the idea of intergenerational play, bringing play and joy into the work that we do, and I'm feeling very inspired by that. Thank you, Gretchen.
And I love, where is Gretchen? I don't see her. Gretchen, you say elder, I say vintage.
Vintage. Love it.
That's right. That's the word, vintage.
All right, we'll pass it off to Andrea. Do you have a final thought you wanted to share?
Yeah, I just invite you to pay attention to where are the elderly in your community and what they are doing, and just take advantage of this powerful force and leadership that they have and connect it to place, because they're already organizing for other things. But if you are able to connect that organization that naturally spurs out of them and connect it to place, then you can have these amazing long-lasting projects that can call on different populations as well.
Excellent. Thiago?
Well, very inspiring, a lot of interesting initiatives now, very exciting. I think I will maybe just repeat the mission of the Global Network. Let's connect one another, cities, countries, people, just so that we can inspire each other. And we've seen so much inspiration today and so many different initiatives, and support each other on our age-friendly journey. And maybe just one last point from my side is try and make best use of the infrastructure, the networks, the assets that are already there, because then we can turn those good, interesting initiatives into projects that are sustained and flourishing over time.
Thank you so much for the big work that you're doing. Christina?
Yes, hi. I would encourage everyone today to reach out to the older adult in their life. Just give them a call, see how they're doing. And that's your homework from the Maine Arts Commission.
Thanks so much. And Gretchen?
Well, I had the most extraordinary experience with Sarah, who lives up in Canada, right in the same town that my daughter does. And she was talking about, her needs, and, she's taking on some real big stuff there. And it felt like, well, for one, we agreed to have further conversation. And I said, all right, well, the next time that I get up to visit my daughter, let's go do paper mache together and we'll talk about all this. So it seemed so personal. And I appreciate all of you, the resources here. I really agree to tap into it. It's very exciting. It's
Thank you
helpful.
so much. It was great to see all of you, and thank you for contributing to this. We'll be sending out the recording to many more people and expect some real connections and energy and ideas to be shared through this. And if not, we'll see you in Spain next year where we can meet each other on the ground. Thanks so much from Placemaking US. We had a great time. Let's
Thank
get old together.
you. That was amazing. Take
Thank you.
care. Thank you so much.